Hello again, everyone. Always a pleasure to be with you in this course on this introduction to spirituality. And it's especially enjoyable to talk about some of the content from this book, Shoeless. And I like it. I tend to agree with what the author has to say. This chapter 4 in the book on love and the spousal meaning of the body. Carmelite Spirituality is really so wonderful. So I'm hoping you're getting a nice immersion into it in this course. And really, love is the high point of the Christian life, of Christian discipleship. Love is the only thing because it's everything, we could say. And Carmelite Spirituality really recognizes the cardinal virtue. I want to say the cardinal virtue, aside from the 4 cardinal virtues, but the chief virtue, the highest virtue of love, both in the Greek forms of eros and agape, as Pope Benedict talks about in his 2005 encyclical Deus Caritas Est. Part 1 is tremendous. If you've never gotten a chance to read that, it's a beautiful read. Part 1 of his encyclical God is Love, or in Latin, Deus Caritas Est. So this chapter 4 in Shoeless is trying to talk about love in just a handful of pages, trying to synthesize a lot within the tradition, within Carmelite spirituality, and add some anecdotes to it. So maybe I comment on just a few of the passages for this short video. On page 49 of Shoeless, we read, and I read again, talking about the sacrament of marriage, the love between a husband and wife is meant to be a sacramental sign of this contemplative love that stretches toward an eternal rendezvous of loving. Marriage as sacrament is lived in the antechamber of eternity, where the wedding feast of the Lamb will be the ultimate fulfillment of the sign of that temporary sacrament of marriage between one man and one woman, the sacramental bond, become husband and wife. That sacrament pointing to the ultimate fulfillment of the wedding feast of the Lamb, the communion of angels and saints, and communion with the most holy Trinity. And so the sacrament of marriage is meant to serve as an icon also of the soul's relationship with God. The church, the bride's relationship with Jesus, the divine bridegroom, divine and human bridegroom, I should say. So God created the human soul for love. That's the point. That's the purpose. And obviously not just sentimental type or, a kind of surging affectivity. There's affectivity certainly in love, but not just in terms of like a passing passion or feeling, but an overall anthropological intentionality toward communion of persons. So this whole chapter is inspired by St. John Paul II's theology of the body, this notion of the spousal meaning of the body. And the human soul is created for love, and so is the body. And it's a powerful love because it's a love that is able to forgive. It's a merciful love. It's able to forgive, and as St. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, not brood over injury. Love is the most foundational vocation of the soul. The great Carmelite mystic, St. Therese of Lisieux, shows us this in her book called The Story of a Soul, the 3 manuscripts that make up that work. To love is to be human all the way. because God is love, and it is in his image that we are made. So even beyond the metaphysical definitions of the imago Dei, to be an individual substance of a rational nature, for example, to have freedom, free will, intellection, rational deliberation. But above all, we have this capacity to love and to be loved, to make of ourselves a sincere gift of self in the direction of the other, and to receive the other person facing me, whether human, angel, or one of the three persons of the Most Holy Trinity, as a gift. So we live out this imago Dei by God's grace to the highest degree when we love, when we move toward the perfection of charity. The text goes on to say that the Carmelite soul contemplates love because love, above all, is worthy of contemplation. By contemplating love, the Carmelite soul loves God and other souls. From the Sacred Heart of Jesus, divine love flows. The Carmelite wants to contemplate all of this. The circulation of love, the course of love, the itinerary of love, proceeding from God, who is love, to us creatures, circulating among us creatures, even throughout the universe. This love that is faster than the speed of light. This love that can heal, that can bind up wounds, that can hope against hope. So the Carmelites teach us about this beautiful call to contemplate divine love. This chapter is just trying to touch upon it a little bit, and there's a lot said about the human body because God made our nature body and soul, and the body is this privileged medium through which love is manifest in the visible order of creation, the physical order of creation. The purpose of the human body is to testify to the love that proceeds from the soul, that circulates through the soul. But the body itself bears visible, sacramental witness to this uncreated love of God that holds us in being and that leads us into this verdant pasture of personal communion and self-gift. So, while Carmelite spirituality involves a high degree of asceticism, detachment from all things of this world, at the same time, it's not a complete rejection of the goodness of created things. So it's a paradox because there's this highest degree of detachment that at the same time permits the highest degree of enjoyment of the goods of this world. But an enjoyment that's always ordered and tempered and always related to and pointing toward the good, who is God. So that gives some reference to St. John of the Cross, how he greatly enjoyed walks through the countryside, and how this facilitated some higher degrees of contemplative prayer at times, and how he even enjoyed eating asparagus. He enjoyed asparagus. I don't know how many of you enjoy eating asparagus. I like asparagus. That's quite good. Not making an idol out of it, but just being able to enjoy it and be thankful for God's gift of asparagus. Enjoy physical exercise. Maybe coffee if you drink coffee. My beverage of choice is tea, herbal teas, uncaffeinated. For effect, today it's turmeric bliss. It's got passion fruit with turmeric. Very good. But we don't worship the gifts. We give thanks to the Creator for the gifts, and we use the gifts for the greater glory of God. Finally, I guess the last lines of this chapter 4, I'd love to go each line by line and unpack, but that would take hours and hours, maybe days. But just the last few lines here, chapter 4 of Shoeless. It is a mysterious paradox that body and soul flourish to the measure that we both enjoy what the Lord has made and deny ourselves many enjoyments along the way for the sake of adoring our gracious God and ensuring the good of the other human beings facing us. So I really look forward to hearing your thoughts about this chapter 4 of Shoeless in the discussion board, and see you soon.